Hello and warm regards from Next Ties team. Welcome to another episode of Daily News Analysis. Today is 24th October and let's see the news that we are going to discuss in this episode. The first topic we are having is about Deendayal Antyodaya Yojana, that is National Rural Livelihood Mission. Now, we are discussing this because PIB has published about the achievements and working of this particular scheme. In this context, we are going to see the scheme. The second topic we are having is Pokkali rice or Pokkali Paddy. Now, this particular rice is grown in Kerala and it is saline resistant. So, in the context of climate change as well as the climate resistant crops that we need, this crop we are going to discuss. The third topic we are having is about regulating synthetic media. Synthetic media or the AI generated media. Now, government has brought up some amendments to the IT rules of 2021 in the context of regulating this synthetic media or the AI generated content. So, that we are going to see. Then the fourth topic we are having is about the artificial rains. The Delhi government is now experimenting with artificial rains and cloud seeding. Trials have already been conducted and it is expected that from 28th to 30th October, we may see if the conditions of environment are conducive for the artificial rains, that there can be artificial rains in Delhi. Then last topic we are going to discuss about the United Nations turns 80. United Nations has completed 80 years of its existence. In this context, we are going to see what has it worked, how has been its working. Now, what are the reforms that are required, and in the India's context, what India demands or what is India's vision for UN. So let's start with the first topic. The first topic is Deendayal Antyodaya Yojana. Now, it is said that if you want to make someone dependent, give them fish. If you want to make someone independent, teach them how to fish. So this particular scheme is focusing upon making someone independent. Who is being made independent? It is the rural communities. This particular scheme is relevant with respect to the welfare schemes for the vulnerable sections of the population by the center and the state and the performance of these schemes. That is in GS paper 2. Now, according to PIB, the following have been the achievements of this Deendayal Antyodaya Yojana. It has mobilized 10.05 crore rural household. That means in each household, if there are 2 to 3 members or there are 2 to 4 members, so it has been able to mobilize 40 crore people. And also has mobilized 90.9 lakh self-help groups. So this particular scheme focuses upon development of these self-help groups so that the whole process becomes automatic in the rural communities. Then it supports 4.6 crore Mahila Kisans, 3.74 lakh enterprises. So it focuses on two more things. First of all, on the women empowerment or the gender empowerment. Second is the entrepreneurship. Then it has trained 17.5 lakh rural youth as well as helped them in getting placed. It has deployed 47,952 bank sakhis as well as helped in financial inclusion and credit access to the rural communities. Then it has promoted sustainable livelihood through agriculture, non-timber forest produce, livestock and non-farm enterprises. So basically this scheme is focusing upon entrepreneurship, this scheme is focusing upon capability development or training of the rural youth, and this scheme is also focusing upon the financial inclusion of the rural communities so that the overall holistic development of the vulnerable section can be done. First of all, rural communities are itself vulnerable as compared to the urban areas. In the rural communities itself, there are women which are most vulnerable. So it is focusing upon both. And along with the India's long-term vision of make in India, this scheme is also focusing upon the entrepreneurship. Now next is this scheme. This scheme is actually being implemented by the Ministry of Rural Empowerment and Rural Development. Now this scheme is a centrally sponsored scheme because it is jointly implemented by center and the state. So this scheme is a centrally sponsored scheme. The objective is poverty alleviation, but poverty alleviation by teaching them how to fish. That means it focuses upon self-development, self-employment, skill-wage employment for the poor households, so that a sustainable livelihood can be generated for them. Now next is what has been the background of this scheme. In 1999, it was observed that the rural communities can only be developed when they are provided with the self-employment avenues. For that, in 1999, the Swarn Jyoti Gramin Swarojgar Yojana was introduced. This particular scheme was then restructured after 10 years in 2010 and was renamed as National Rural Livelihood Mission. Then in 2016, it was again renamed as Deendayal Antyodaya Yojana National Rural Livelihood Mission. So this scheme has been in progress more than 2 decades. we have to be precise, it has covered 25 years. The next thing is that what are the focus areas? The first focus area is social mobilization and strengthening the community institutions. Because as we are going to strengthen the community institutions, there will be a culture that will be developed in the rural economies or rural communities, and that culture is going to empower, or it is going to empower more people of the rural areas. So that is being done through the self-help groups. So self-help groups are being strengthened so that their reach can be maximum. Also, as the self-help groups are working at the ground level, they know the situation in a better manner. They know which areas are the strength of that particular area and which are the weaknesses. So based upon this ground level information, the self-help groups are better empowered to help in the development of the rural communities. Then next is financial inclusion, because to do anything you need finance, you need credit. So the second core area, the second core component will be financial inclusion. The third will be sustainable livelihood. We need to develop, we need to make the rural communities independent. That independence can only come when there is sustainable livelihood, the livelihood which can be carried on for years. For that, we are focusing upon self-employment as well as training the rural communities. Then social development, inclusion and access to entitlement. So it is also focusing upon inclusive development. For example, gender development is one of the aspects here. So it is also focusing upon that women should be given the priority in this particular scheme as well. Then next is what are the objectives? The objectives are very simple. First of all, we need to strengthen, or we need to make the institution strong, which is particularly the self-help group, and they should be especially led by the women. The second is enable access to financial services and livelihood support. Third is train community resource persons, for example, Krishi Sakhis, Pashu Sakhis, Bank Sakhis and Bima Sakhis. Then promote awareness on gender, health, nutrition and sanitation. So the overall development of the rural communities is being focused upon in this particular scheme. Now, what are the facilities provided? First facility will be that formal credit will be provided to them through the banks. Then livelihood strengthening and diversification will be focused upon. For that, training will be done, new avenues will be created. There will be various platforms through which the information can be imparted that what activities they can do to make their livelihood sustainable. Then access to entitlement and the public services that are available. Then next is women empowerment via DAY and RLM. So how the women are being empowered? So first of all, there have been a lot of credit that have been disbursed. Around 11 lakh crores have been disbursed to the self-help groups, and 98%, more than 98% repayment rate has been achieved in that. So this is making this scheme more sustainable, because whatever credit is being given, that is being coming back also. When it is being coming back, that simply means that for those activities it was given, those activities have now been able to become sustainable. For example, if any woman has started any enterprise, for that she needed credit. So if she had got the credit, that enterprise is now running, she is able to pay back that credit. So that is helping in making this scheme more effective. Then it supports farm and non-farm activities, empowering the Mahila Kisan. It promotes micro enterprises via Startup Village Entrepreneurship Program. Then it is training and providing support for Krishi Sakhis, Pashu Sakhis and Bank Sakhis. Now these are the achievements. Some of the achievements you can quote in your answers. Then there are two programs that are being implemented under this particular scheme. These are both training programs. First one is Deendayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushal Yojana, that is training the rural youth of the age 15 to 35 years, and they are being trained for the placement linked jobs. Then rural self-employment training institutions have been established, which are training youth from 18 to 50 years for self and wage employment. 56.69 lakh have been trained under this particular institution. Now it's your turn. You have to attempt this MCQ and you have to post your answers in the comment box. And let's move to the next topic. The second topic that we are having is Pokkali Paddy. Now what is the backdrop here? The backdrop is that we are facing the problem of climate change, we are facing the problem of desertification, salt salinization and other problems. In this, we need our agriculture to be climate change resilient. We need our cropping system that it can resist the salt salinization, and we are able to ensure that our food security is intact. Now in this context, the Pokkali Paddy is very much instrumental for us. Now this topic is relevant from GS prelims paper. This Pokkali Paddy, it is the unique feature of it is that it can be grown in the salty area. So it is a salt tolerant traditional rice variety which is grown in the brackish water fields. So this crop is basically grown in the coastal areas of Kerala. The districts include Ernakulam, Alappuzha and Thrissur. So in these districts, the brackish water comes, and in that brackish water, this particular Pokkali Paddy can be grown. Now, what is the mechanism in which this crop is grown? This Pokkali Paddy is grown during the period of Kharif season, in which this crop is cultivated. Now, when the crop has been harvested, there will be leftover portion. And in that leftover portion, the prawns from the sea are going to come and they are going to feed upon those leftover portion. So it gives an avenue for prawn farming as well. So in the Kharif season, the paddy is being grown. After that, the prawn farming is done. Now, prawns are themselves living excreta which is nitrogenous. That excreta is going to help in the next cycle of the Kharif season when no more nitrogen fertilizers are going to be needed. So this particular technique of farming, and particularly the Pokkali Paddy, it is first of all climate resilient as well as sustainable, because it does not need any kind of external fertilizers to sustain. Also, it acts as natural biofilter which cleans the water bodies and maintains the soil fertility, and it requires no chemical fertilizers as we have already discussed. Now also, this particular Pokkali Paddy is rich in antioxidants and minerals, so it is also helpful for our nutritional security along with the food security. So it is also catering to the nutritional security, and based upon the features it is having, it was accorded the GI tag in 2008. So it is important for us from the GI tag point of view also. Now next is, what are the current challenges that this particular farming is facing? First of all, this particular farming is now becoming very less popular among the youths, because first of all, the youth are moving out from the agriculture. Secondly, they are now focusing upon more intensive methods of farming rather than the sustainable methods. Secondly, due to urbanization and changing livelihoods, the cultivable area under this Pokkali Paddy is also shrinking. Now last part is that what are the other crops which have the same features? So for example, Kuttanad Vittu, which is again grown in the Kerala, in the Kuttanad region. This is again a salt resilient variety of the paddy. Then other than it, Luna Sankhi and Luna Survana, which is now developed by the CSIR, it is grown in the Odisha region, Nona Bokhra in West Bengal, and Getu and Matla in Sundarban region of the West Bengal. These all are varieties of the rice which are, or the varieties of the paddy which are salt resilient. Now based upon the discussion, you have to attempt this MCQ and you have to post your answers in the comment box. The next topic we are having is about regulating synthetic media. What is this synthetic media? Synthetic media means that the AI generated content or the AI generated media is known as synthetic media. What is the backdrop here? The backdrop is that the draft amendments to the IT Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code Rule 2021 have been put out by the government to regulate this synthetic media or the AI generated content. Now relevance is GS3, awareness in the field of IT, and also from GS2, that is governance. Now next is about the news. First of all, as the misuse of AI generated content and deepfake are rising, India is planning a mandatory AI content labeling to ensure transparency and accountability on the digital platforms. Digital platforms include your Instagram, the social media, YouTube will be included here. It will be including the things like WeChat is there, WhatsApp is there. So all these things are going to be included in the digital platforms. The draft amendments to the IT Act, Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code to 2021 proposes strict obligation on the social media intermediaries such as YouTube, Instagram and Meta. So the onus will be on the social media social media platforms, that they have to check that any content that is being posted on their website is not AI generated, and if it is AI generated, it should be mandatorily marked in the video or in that particular content that this is AI generated content. Now first of all, what are deepfakes? Deepfakes are defined as the digitally manipulated media, it may be video, image or audio, created to appear real, often spreading misinformation and impersonation. Now, the examples or the victims of this deepfake are, first of all, the actress Rashmika Mandana in 2023 itself. Then Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also highlighted that deepfakes are the new crisis, and he has urged the need for regulatory safeguard for the deepfakes. In this context, these draft amendments have been brought. Now, entertainment industry itself is facing the problems, and certain personalities like Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, Mrs. Aishwarya Rai Bachchan, Mr. Hrithik Roshan, and Mr. Akshay Kumar have sought for personality rights to the court, and they have been granted those personality rights because through deepfakes, their voices, their gestures, their style are being copied and they are being replicated. Then India's personality right, the problem with India is that the personality rights are still weak. They are based upon privacy, trademarks, and copyright laws which are not fully developed. So that is the problem that we are facing. Now, for this issue, these particular draft amendments have been brought in the IT rules. Now, this draft IT rules, first of all, define the synthetically generated information. So, this synthetically generated information is being defined as the information that is artificially or algorithmically created, generated, modified, or altered using a computer resource in a manner that appears reasonably authentic or true. So, basically, it wants to say that any kind of information that is being generated through computers and which appears to be true is known as synthetically generated information. In that, deepfakes are going to be included. In that, any AI generated part will be included. And it will be including everything. It will be including videos also, audio also, it will be including the written content also. So, for every content, the guidelines have been issued. Now, what are the guidelines? The guidelines are, first of all, user declaration. The platform requires that a user, for example, I am posting something on YouTube, so I have to declare whether the uploaded content is synthetically generated or AI made. So that has to be declared. Secondly, technical verification has to be done. That technical verification will be done by the platform itself. So the platform, for example, Facebook, Meta, or Instagram, they are going to employ reasonable and appropriate technical tools to ensure or to differentiate between the automated or manual generated content. Third one is mandatory labeling. The labeling has to be mandatorily put upon all the content that is posted on the social media. For visuals, 10% of the image surface area should be having this mark that this content is AI generated. For the audio part, initial 10% of the total duration of the duration of the audio should be marked that it is AI generated content. So it has to be informed to the public that this particular content is AI generated, so that the problem of deepfake and other things can be countered. Then there's a liability clause also. If the platform fails to ensure these guidelines, then the section 79 of the IT Act that provides legal immunity will not be applicable. So in case these particular guidelines are not being implied upon, then the legal immunity provided under section 79 of the IT Act will not be applicable for those offences. The next is, what is the current scenario of AI labeling? So these particular social platforms like Meta, Google, or other are employing some techniques to ensure that the content is labeled as AI. For example, Meta asks the creator to declare AI usage. It applies AI info label, but enforcement remains inconsistent. Then Google, YouTube is adding altered or synthetic content tag explaining how the video was made. Then industry collaboration, Meta, Google, OpenAI, Adobe, and others are part of the partnership on AI, PAI, that is known as, to develop common standards and invisible markers for the AI detection. Then what are the limitations here? Because these remain reactive. After the content has been created, then they are working upon. They are applied mostly after user complaints of the content reviewer. Secondly, they are being applied when anyone has complained about them. So there need to be proactive things. For example, before the content is posted, the mandatory norms regarding this AI labeling should be followed. Then global approach, if we talk about, the European Union under AI Act says that synthetic content must be machine readable and clearly labeled. Then China requires the visible AI symbols or hidden watermark should be there. The platforms must detect, label, and alert users about the AI generated material. Then Denmark proposes giving citizens copyright over their likeliness, empowering them to demand removal of the deepfakes created without their consent. The next is significance of AI move, India's move. First of all, it is a proactive step because it is now shifting the responsibility towards the platform. So platform need to ensure that before the content is being posted, the content is being labeled properly. Secondly, accountability. It is now enhancing the traceability and authenticity of the digital content. Third, public trust. When these things are going to happen, the public trust is going to improve because now these particular labeling are going to tackle the problem of misinformation, impersonation and reputational harm. Then regulatory benchmark. It could help make India one of the major democracies to adopt the mandatory AI labeling standards. So we need to understand that what is the importance of the AI labeling. The AI labeling is going to help that before the content is posted on the social media, it is being initially filtered out. If the content is being has been generated through AI and it is not labeled properly, that content will not be posted on the social media. So first of all, it is going to increase the public trust because now the content that will be coming out will be AI labeled. So they will be able to easily differentiate what is the good content, what is the real content and what is the AI generated content. Secondly, it will also decrease the workload of government because now there will be less amount of those content that need to be seen by the government, which is AI generated and which is harmful for the public interest. Thirdly, it is also going to help the platform also because they are going to get less complaints now, because now they are filtering out the content at the starting phase itself. It will enhance the traceability also. So in this context, this particular guidelines are going to be helpful. Now next is, what are the challenges ahead? The challenge is that first of all, the technological capability to track the real-time AI detection, that is one problem. Then preventing over-regulation because it may stifle the creativity and innovation, because first of all creating that and after creating that, labeling and other norms are going to stifle the creativity and innovation. Then there can be coordination gaps also because there are multiple social media platforms. So bringing them to one platform and having a universal set of guidelines for them, that will be a challenge for us. Then public awareness regarding the digital literacy regarding deepfakes remains low in the country. Then way forward, develop standardized watermarking and metadata frameworks under MAT. Then encourage cross-platform collaboration. For example, if YouTube has detected some content to be AI generated and not labeled properly, then it should be collaborating with Meta or Facebook also, so that the workload can be decreased and these guidelines can become more effective. Then integrate public education campaigns on deepfake detection. Then formulate a comprehensive law addressing the AI ethics, personality rights, and data authenticity. Now, based upon this, you have to attempt the MCQ and you have to post your answers in the comment box. The next topic we are having is artificial rain. Artificial rain means that a human-induced rains. That means now human is going to control how the rains are going to happen and what time they are going to happen. So what is the backdrop here? The backdrop is that the Delhi is preparing for the first artificial rain after successful trial. The topic is relevant from GS paper 3, science and technology developments and their application and effects in everyday life, as well as environmental pollution and degradation, because this is one of the steps that has been taken to counter the post-Diwali pollution that is in the Delhi city. Now the news is that in effort to combat the worsening air pollution, the Delhi government has announced that the city is technically ready for the first ever artificial rain. What do we mean by technically ready? Technically ready means that whenever the conducive environmental conditions are there, the Delhi government or Delhi can go for the artificial rain. Now we have tested every equipment, we have tested the technique, we have tested the mechanism. Now we are technically ready. Through cloud seeding, that is a technique through which we are going to go for the artificial rain, tentatively scheduled between October 28 to 30, 2025, depending upon the weather condition. Now here weather conditions are very, very important, because if the enough moisture or clouds are not in the sky, then this artificial rain or cloud seeding cannot be done. Now about the successful trials that have been conducted. A proving flight was jointly conducted by IIT Kanpur and Delhi government's Environment Department. The flight covered Kanpur, Meerut, Khekra, Burari, Sadakpur, Bhojpur, Aligarh, Kanpur route. So in this route, the cloud seeding was done, the trials were done. During the 4-hour operation, flares containing silver iodide and sodium chloride. Now these two chemicals are very, very important, because these two chemicals are used for cloud seeding, were fired between Kherka and Burari using pyro method. Now it tested the aircraft endurance, flare deployment system, and coordination between the meteorological and the aviation team. Now artificial rain, what is this artificial rain or what is cloud seeding? Artificial rains or cloud seeding is a technique used to enhance the rain artificially by introducing substances into cloud that encourage water droplets to condense and fall as rain. So basic idea is that in the clouds we are going to put up some chemicals, we are going to put up some particles which are going to enhance the condensation of the water vapors, and through that condensation the cloud size will increase, and with increase in that, as the moisture is going to become more in the cloud, then it is going to rain. So the whole process includes that we need to enhance the condensation of water vapor into water, and through that the rain is going to happen. That is known as artificial rain in very simple terms. Now next is artificial rain, the mechanism. The mechanism is very simple. Tiny particles like silver iodide, this is important, silver chloride and potassium chloride, because the question can be asked whether which of the following particles are used for artificial rain. Now these particles are going to be put up in the clouds. So the prior thing for artificial rain is that there should be clouds in the atmosphere, there should be moisture in the atmosphere, then only this cloud seeding is going to work. Now why these particular chemicals are used? These particular chemicals or compounds are used because they have the same structure as that of the ice. Because it is having the same structure as that of the ice, that's why it is able to imitate, it is able to fool the water vapors to condense. So due to the similar structure of silver iodide, sodium chloride and potassium chloride as compared to the ice, the water vapor is converted into water droplets or ice droplets. These particular particles act as nuclei around which the water droplets or ice crystals are formed. As these droplets become heavier, they fall as rain, potentially increasing rainfall over a targeted area. Now cloud seeding cannot be created without clouds. For the thing that you need to remember is that cloud seeding cannot create clouds. It can enhance them, it can augment them. That means that there should be a cloud, only after that the cloud seeding is going to work. The next thing is what is the potential benefit of the artificial rain. If we are able to master it, what benefits we can get? What is the potential of this artificial rain or the cloud seeding? First of all, water resource management. In India, we have a very diverse geography. Diverse culture is there, diverse geography is there. There are areas like Meghalaya which have the highest rainfall, and there are areas which have only 10 centimeter of rainfall in the whole year. That is, for example, Jaisalmer. And so the point is that we are having areas which are having very high rainfall, we are having areas which are dry. And our economy is basically agriculture based economy, and agriculture based economy is mainly depend upon the rains. So we have a rain fed agriculture based economy. In this context, artificial rains are very, very important for us because it can help increase rainfall in the drought prone areas. It can help support agriculture by providing additional irrigation. It could help replenish our reservoirs and ground water. So this is the potential of the artificial rain. Then the pollution, air pollution mitigation. Out of the 14 major polluted cities, 12 are Indian. That's a very high number. So in this context, the artificial rains can be helpful in tackling the problem of this air pollution. So rain can create temporary wash away dust, smoke and particulate matter from the air. It may reduce the smoke levels in cities during the winter months. Then climate management and research. It will help scientists study cloud formation and precipitation process. It could be part of weather modification program for regions facing water stresses. So these are the potential of the artificial rain. Now next thing is the benefits that we can accrue from that. First is supplementary water supply. It will help farmer and urban areas during the dry spells. The times like heat waves or droughts, they can be mitigated through this artificial rain. So it will help in disaster management occurring mainly due to the less rainfall or the scarcity of the rainfall. Then pollution control. It can provide a short-term relief for the polluted areas. For the scientific advancement also, it will help in encouraging the research into meteorology and environmental engineering. Now what are the concerns? Because everything having a positive is also having a negative. The first concern is that the silver iodide or the silver chloride these may be having a very less impact when they are in very small amounts. But when repeatedly artificial rain or cloud seeding is done, then the amount is going to increase on the soil. So what impact it is going to have on the soil, how it is going to pollute the soil, what impact it is going to have upon the crops, upon the living organisms that are residing on the soil, that is still debatable. So that is the environmental concern, the basic environmental concern that we are having. Now other concerns include effectiveness. They only work when there are clouds. If there are not clouds, then it is not going to work. Secondly, it is even under the ideal conditions, the rainfall increase is unpredictable and often small. Then it can only provide a temporary relief in the pollution. We need to focus upon the on the major core root cause. For example, vehicular pollution is there, the parali burning pollution is there. So we need to focus upon those things. Then environmental risks are also there. We have already discussed the silver iodide or the sodium iodide. They can accumulate in soil and water bodies and can pollute them. So the long-term effect on ecosystem, crop and human health is not fully known for this particular thing. Then ethical and governance issues are also there. It can cause flooding and damage. For example, in Saudi Arabia, it was being speculated that due to artificial experiments on the artificial rain, those floods have come, but it is not said for sure. But there are chances of flooding and damage, and the accountability may become unclear in that case. Cloud can create false expectation among public about solving pollution or drought quickly. So that is another problem. It is going to increase the polluting activities. Then cost and resources. It requires specialized aircraft, training personnel and continuous monitoring, making it expensive. So it is a means of diverting our resources towards a thing which is having a very short-term solution. We should be focusing upon long-term solutions. Although in extreme situations, this particular mechanism or this particular technique can be used. But for our daily reliance, we need to focus upon the sustainable mechanisms. Now, if we talk about the sustainable mechanisms, we need to target the core issues. For example, for pollution itself, vehicular emission, industrial discharge, construction dust, pollution plant emissions, waste burning and stubble fires. We need to frame policies, we need to take steps so that we can decrease these. That will only help in decreasing the pollution levels. Then we need to also focus upon effective long-term solutions. For example, promoting cleaner transport and renewable energy. EV vehicles are being promoted. Strengthening waste management systems. Urban planning that curbs the pollution sources. So we need to focus upon the real cause, the root cause of the problem, as well as we need to focus upon the long-term solutions rather than focusing upon the short-term solutions. Now, based upon this, you have to attempt the MCQ and you have to post your answers in the comment box. And let's move to the next topic. Now, the next topic we are having is United Nations turns 80. United Nations has completed 80 years of its existence. In this context, this article by Mr. Shashi Tharoor has been written, who is the member of parliament right now, and has been the former Under Secretary General of the United Nations. Now, we have to see that what United Nations has done, how far it has been effective. Secondly, what are the challenges it has faced, where it has failed, and in the current scenario, what is the role of United Nations, and what is India's vision for the United Nations, and what reforms India is proposing for the United Nations. Now, the topic is relevant from GS paper 2 in the important international institutions, agencies, fora, and their structure and mandate. Now, first of all, let's start with the establishment of the United Nations. If we start with, we go back to the last century, that is the 19th century. Early efforts were made in 1899 to 1902. In 1899, the International Peace Conference was held at The Hague. The objective was to prevent the wars and to resolve the conflicts in a peaceful manner. So that was the basic objective, and also they have the objective of developing warfare rules. Then in 1902, the Permanent Court of Arbitration was established. This Permanent Court of Arbitration has actually influenced the formation of United Nations International Court of Justice. Then in 1919, through the Treaty of Versailles, after World War I, the League of Nations was established. The basic objective was to ensure international cooperation and ensure peace. So the promotion of international cooperation and peace was the objective here, so that the World War I like situation does not happen again. But we saw the World War II also, because the Treaty of Versailles was a farce. It didn't give the solution to the root problems or the core problems. Also, the International Labour Organization was formed through this Treaty of Versailles. That was in the same year. It was formed as an affiliated agency. Then United Nations name. In 1942, the US President Franklin Roosevelt coined this term, and the declaration by United Nations was signed by 26 nations pledging to fight against the Axis powers, that is Rome, Berlin and Tokyo Axis, that is against the Hitler Axis, and prohibiting separate peace treaties. Then formation of United Nations in 1945. After the end of the World War, the United Nations Conference on International Organization was held at San Francisco and led to the signing of United Nations Charter, the foundation treaty of UN as an intergovernmental organization. So this is the basic history of United Nations. It was established in 1945 after World War II by 51 countries, and currently 193 member states are in the United Nations. Its purpose is guided by the United Nations Charter, aims to maintain international peace, security and cooperation. There are some principal organizations under United Nations. One is United Nations General Assembly, which is the policy deliberation and budget for the policy deliberation and budgets, in which all these 193 members are sitting and they vote upon the issues or the decisions. Then second is United Nations Security Council. The objective of this UNSC is to maintain international peace and security, and it is the only body which is having binding resolutions. Then Economic and Social Council. It promotes international economic and social cooperation among the countries. Then International Court of Justice, it is a judicial organ for dispute resolution among the states. Then Trusteeship Council is also there. It suspended the operation after decolonization. Now it has been suspended. Then United Nations Secretariat. It is the administrative arm led by the Secretary General. So these are the major principal organs of United Nations. Now one organ that is United Nations Security Council, which is the most important one other than the UNGA. It has 15 members, 5 are permanent and 10 are non-permanent members, and there is a 2-year rotation for each member. That is, after every 2 years the one-third members are going to retire. And these 5 permanent members are having veto power. These members include USA, UK, France, Russia and China. Then the role is to investigate dispute, recommend solutions and formulate armament control plans, maintain peace. The powers, they can issue binding resolutions, they can authorize sanctions, they can suspend economic or diplomatic relations and approve military action also. So this is the only body of United Nations which is having some kind of tools. But in the present context, as we are seeing the Russia-Ukraine war and the Israel-Gaza Strip war and the conflicts that are happening in Africa, we see that the United Nations Security Council as well as UN are becoming redundant. Their role in the peace talks, their role in the conflict resolution is being diminishing now. And that is happening because of major challenges which these bodies are facing. Now, what are the issues and challenges? The first one is gridlock in decision making. The P5 veto power, that is the veto power the US, UK, France, China and Russia are having, they are the major impediment in any decision making. Even if 14 members, that is the non-permanent as well as the permanent members are going for one decision, still the veto power by any of the P5 member does not allow that decision to be enforced. That happened in the major conflicts that have happened. For example, Israel-Gaza or the Russia-Ukraine. In those things, there is a paralysis in the crisis situation. The United Nations Security Council is not able to take any kind of decision because of this veto power. Then outdated representation. These particular 5 countries, that is USA, UK, France, Russia and China, does not reflect the current scenario. For example, India is the major power. Brazil, Germany as well as Japan, they have a major say in the world economics as well as geopolitics. They are not member of these P5. They should be there. So this United Nations Security Council is not representing the current situation of the world's geopolitics. The global south is underrepresented and it has reduced the legitimacy of this United Nations Council. Then historical failures are there. For example, in Bosnia, Rwanda, Syria, Sudan, Myanmar, currently Israel, Gaza, Russia, Ukraine or India-Pakistan conflict. The United Nations has not played any crucial role rather than just putting up some resolutions. So that is eroding the credibility of this particular organization. Then financial dependence. The US is the major donor, and after coming of the current President Trump, there has been the instances where US has stopped funding to UN. So in the wake of lack of financial funding, the effectiveness of United Nations is also declining. Then administrative issues are also there. There is bureaucratic inefficiency, corruption and misconduct in United Nations. Then erosion of sovereignty. Some nations view United Nations mandate on climate, human rights or immigration as threat to the national interest. Then competing institutions are also there. For example, G20 has become a very, very major institution. India has also hosted a G20 summit. Then BRICS, another major institution of which India is a part. SCO, again a part. African Union, regional groupings are bypassing the UN mechanism, reducing its influence. Then emerging security threats. The conventional UNSC structure poorly equipped for terrorism, cybercrime, refugee crisis, climate change and unilateral actions. So what we see in the UN, the challenges that UN is facing. First of all, there are structural defects in it. For example, the veto power is there. The second is that it is itself not updated. The new crimes like terrorism, cybercrime, refugee crisis, the UN is not properly equipped to handle those crises. Third one is no financial independence. It is still dependent upon major economies like USA for the financial aid. Then we have the issues that it has been ineffective in certain areas like Rwanda, Syria, and Iraq, Israel, etc. So that has also raised its credibility. Then we are having the issues of sovereignty, because certain actions are being taken by the UN which are seen by the countries as they are infringing upon their sovereignty. For example, in the case of climate change or Montreal Protocol, when the technologies was not being transferred, only it was being sold to these countries. So that has eroded the credibility of the United Nations. Now next thing is the need for reforms. There is a need. Why? Because they are from the era of the Cold War bipolarity, we moved to US unipolarity, and now we are moving to multipolar world in which there are multiple poles, in which India is also one of the poles which is defining the geopolitics. Then emergence of new powers and weakening of the old allies. US, UK and France, they have now become weak, and new powers like India, Germany, Brazil, Japan have arisen. Then there are global challenges which the UN is not equipped to face. Then post-war liberal internationalism, unstained nationalism and skepticism towards the multilateralism is rising. Then major decision making make the decision making more representative, transparent and accountable. Ensure equitable participation of rising powers and global south. That is very, very important to establish the credibility of the United Nations. Then limit veto misuse and improve the responsiveness to the global crisis. Then strengthen UN legitimacy in multilateral cooperation, peacekeeping and sustainable development. That's why there is a need for reforms in the United Nations. Now what have been the previous attempts for reforms? In 1965, the non-permanent seats were increased from 6 to 10. So that is one major reform. Then Razeli plan, that was not implemented. It proposed the expansion to 24 members, but it was never came into light. Then Kofi Annan plan of 2005, he talked about expansion based upon equitable geographical representation and contribution to UN. That again didn't happen. Africa is still underrepresented. The global south is still underrepresented. That includes South Asia, that includes the South America also. Then grouping advocacy reforms. For example, certain groups like G4, which includes India, Brazil, Germany and Japan for permanent seat. L69 developing countries advocating representation and legitimacy. Then African Union, Azuvili consensus, more democratic representation should be there in UN. S5, Costa Rica, Jordan, Liechtenstein, Singapore, Switzerland, transparency and access should be there. Then it advocates equitable representation and expansion in the UN. Then what are the challenges? The first and foremost is the opposition from countries like China and Pakistan, because for Pakistan, India is being included. For Germany, Italy is opposing that part, so they have formed a coffee club. That coffee club is opposing the P4 club or Group 4 club. Then amendment to UN Charter requires 2/3 majority and P5 concurrence. First of all, obtaining this majority, and the P5 concurrence is very, very important, because P5 concurrence is having veto power, and they do not want any other country to be included in this veto power. When they are doing this thing, that is actually eroding the credibility of United Nations. The resistance from P5 nation to share the veto power, that we have discussed. Lack of consensus on size, distribution and permanent membership. So one country is saying that we contribute population wise, so we should be getting more share. Another country says we are having major area, that's why that should be the criteria. Another country is saying the economy is very, very large, that's why they should be included, that is another criteria. So the consensus upon what should be the criteria for expansion, that has not been agreed upon by the countries. Now next part is what has been the India's role. India has played a very, very positive and crucial role in the United Nations, because India has been one of the major contributors in the security forces. Other than that, the historic association includes founding father, India is the founding father, and several multiple terms as temporary United Nations Security Council member also. Now India is again seeking the non-permanent membership of United Nations Security Council. Now demographic and economic weight, if we define, because India is the second largest, now it is going to become the first most populous country of the world. Secondly, economically also India is now the fourth largest economy of the world. So that is important for us. Then United Nations contribution. India is the largest contributor of the United Nations peacekeeping operations. Regular financial support to UN bodies India is providing. Then protection of the national interest. Permanent seat increases diplomatic clout influence in the Indo-Pacific. Then global power recognition. Participation in major export control regimes like MTCR, Wassenaar, Australia group. So India is one of the important crucial members of these particular groups. That's why India should be at the United Nations Security Council's permanent members list. Space and defense capabilities India is having are now becoming unmatchable. The kind of accuracy India is having, and with affordability, that is one of the prime strengths of India. Then leadership of the third world, because third world looks upon India as their leader, as a leader who is going to progress, who is going to forward their agendas, who is going to forward their interests. So as a leader of the third world, India should be the part of the United Nations permanent members. Then support for the multilateralism. It promotes diplomacy, peacekeeping, climate change and sustainable development. Then United Nations continuing role, because what we have seen is that the challenges and the shortcomings of the United Nations, but United Nations has positive outcomes. For example, the role it has played in humanitarian aid. UNHCR, WPF, UNICEF has delivered life supporting support in the crisis. Then peacekeeping, it has provided stability in the fragile regions. For example, in Africa, although it may not have been able to contribute in each and every conflict, but in major conflicts like in Saudi Arabia, it has helped in providing stability to those regions. Norm setting, it has set norms for human rights, gender equality, sustainable development, and also for the climate change. These norms are being followed by the countries, so they are helping in countering the global challenges that we are facing in a coordinated manner. Then limitations, power of veto, politicized funding and non-compliance by the permanent members have often constrained their action. But United Nations, at the concluding phase, we can say it has played a crucial role. However, there are certain areas upon which it need to make it better. Now, you can attempt this mains question, and with this we conclude for the day. Thank you very much.